Today I'm going to show you a couple types of transfer printing. The first one is using an inkjet color print and some Mod Podge and a piece of wood. This wood is probably found at your local craft store. And here I'm just applying a small amount of Mod Podge, which is a kind of acrylic based glue but can be used just like medium. So I'm just going to apply it fairly thinly, but not too thin. You want enough glue to saturate the print. I'm just using a regular craft brush for this, or you could use a foam brush. And this is just an inkjet print that came off my printer. I've sized it a little bit larger than my wood, but it doesn't quite fit, so I'm going to turn the wood. And once I have it placed the right way, I'm pressing it face down. Keep in mind your image is going to be reversed, or whatever you have it. And now you just want to gently apply the print to the wet wood. So you can do that in different ways. This is a brayer. You could use a brayer. You want to smooth out any air bubbles. So a brayer or a roller is one way. You could use a piece of mat board or a credit card to smooth it out. But you want to take a couple minutes to do this well, because anywhere where the paper doesn't glue to the wood, it's not going to transfer. You can also use your hands. And so this is just the back showing you what you have now. And I am going to let this dry for several hours. And once I've done that and I know it's fully dry, next comes the wet part. So you need a sponge with some water, soap sponge, and you're going to gently saturate the print and the wood. And any place where it's wet, well, try to get the whole print wet as possible without having it drip. So this part requires some patience. You just want to gently squeeze moisture into the print. And as you can see, the paper starts to dissolve, so you can take off the excess. And this is a sort of a involved slow process, I guess I would say. You're going to switch to your hands, or this is an option. You can switch to your hands and gently use your fingers to remove some of the excess paper. This is where you have to be very gentle, because it's extremely easy to break through the paper and wreck the image. So sometimes I'll take off the excess bits with a sponge and then go back into the print again and keep adding a little bit more water. Some people don't like using their hands. I don't mind it, but it lets you feel what's happening with the print better. I've sped this part up because this can be a little bit slow. And you just keep going until you feel like you've gotten a pretty good image. But one thing you should know is the print is going to be a little bit light. Like right now it looks pretty good, right? But it's still wet. So I can let that sit out in the air for an hour or two, or I could use a blow dryer on low. So you'll see something happen as you watch the blow dryer. The print is going to start to turn light. And so we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to wet the print again, and I'm going to do a little bit more rubbing, but make sure you be patient and don't rub too hard. So I repeat this process a couple of times until I get the image the way I like it. So finally, I'm still ending up with an image that's a little bit light, but you can fix that by using a few drops of baby oil on a paper towel. Gently apply the oil and rub it in to the finished dried print. And that will darken the areas that you want darkened. That looks pretty good. If you use baby oil, you're going to end up with a more matte finish. And so I'm drying this to make sure that it's completely dry. Another example is using wood again, but a black and white image, again an inkjet, and I'm going to put acrylic paints. So people call this an acrylic transfer. So instead of the Mod Podge, which would give you a clear image, I'm going to use just some regular craft paints on the wood. And sorry, there's a small gap in recording here, but I basically painted that wood light green, yellow mixed with a little bit of blue. Same amount as you saw in the with the Mod Podge. And I applied the black and white print to the wood just like I did in round one, and I let it fully dry. This time I did not wait several hours. I only waited maybe 30 minutes, and then I peeled off the excess. I didn't use the sponge too much in this one. Because I kind of wanted a rougher image here, so I didn't really fine tune it. I liked the kind of unevenness of the edges and this kind of rough antique look, which I hope we get. But again, my image ends up being kind of light, so I used the baby oil again, just to darken it. It soaks through the light areas of the paper and makes it more transparent so that you see the background. I noticed I had a little flaw near the top where the paper was kind of bothering me. Normally I leave that alone, but this time it was bothering me a little bit, so I just filled in with some paint marker. And there you have two examples of inkjet transfer prints.